Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Reds, and today I would be talking about the books which I read from November to December in 24. But before that, a belated Happy New Year and a very belated Merry Christmas. I know I have been MIA and things went a little hard in the personal front, but now I'm back, and so we would be talking about books as always. So I read overall 8 to 9 books in the month of November and December, and I think 8 to 9. And the first book that I read was Bride of Ashina and the Second Son by Agnishika. So this book was amazing. So I knew from the very beginning that she is an amazing author. I loved her writing style. I loved how she, shows her characters different dimensions and how soft they are, and I absolutely love it. She gives me butterflies whenever I read her stories. And this was no different. This was a solid 5-star book because the first one was a novella and it was very fast paced, due to which I rated it a 4-star. But this one was a solid 5-star, very well paced, and I loved Damien and Zena. I think I connected more with Zena in this book because she's a bit like me. She's like calm and quiet, whereas Damien is like the mischievous one. And both of their banters and their communication between each other literally gave me butterflies in my tummy, and I absolutely loved it. It was such a sweet romantic book with a prophecy going on in the background, and I highly suggest you read this book, guys. But before you read this book, I would suggest you read the first book of it first, and then you come and read this book because it's worth it. And come on, support the indie authors because they are doing amazing work. Next book that I read was LJ novel, which is Lisa Jewell novels, and I absolutely love her work. She's a wonderful psychological thriller writer, an author whom I absolutely adore. And the book which I read of hers was The Family Upstairs. Now, this book is so dark and twisted, and it is so psychologically, it is going to really intrigue you. It is such a good book. So this book revolves around So this book revolves around Libby, who inherits a family mansion from her family whom she has never met. So she has gone through some childhood tragedy, and she has been brought up by a foster parent, but she has been adopted by a different parent, and she inherits a family mansion in Manchester in this book. And this whole story revolves around Libby and the tragedy that has happened 25 years ago. She uncovers tragedies and secrets and lies of her family after 25 years of whatever has happened to her family. So we see multiple timelines here in this book, and Lisa Jewell masterfully weaves between the timelines. So there's a present timeline going on, and there is something which is going on 25 years ago, and it's beautifully written. The creepy mansion here in this book itself becomes a haunted character kind of a thing. Like, the mansion itself has a very haunted kind of a vibe. It gives you chills. The characters, as usual, like all Lisa Jewell book characters, are flawed, intriguing, and so much relatable. It revolves around themes like trauma and family secrets and betrayal. Those kind of themes it revolves around. It is such a captivating domestic thriller that I read it in a couple of days, and I absolutely flew through this book, loved it. The twist in the end is going to blow your mind, and it also has a part 2. I think The Family Remains is the book which is part 2. I'm sure I'm going to read it because I absolutely love her writing style. So I gave it a 4.5 star. So this is me confessing, I have not read Karen Slaughter books ever. So I started with the very first Karen Slaughter book, which is Blindsided. And my God, she is a bold statement. She's a bold statement in the world of thrillers and crime novels. If you are of a light heart, if you are scared of gruesome stories, I would suggest do not pick this book. I gave this book a 3.75 stars because I think somewhere down the line I could predict, so it was a bit predictable, but my god, the chills I got from this book, it's amazing. So I actually had nightmares and chills while reading this book. The first chapter itself is going to throw you off guard. It is very gruesome, but it is a medical thriller kind of a thing where you're going to hear a lot of medical jargons and procedures and everything. Generally like a Tess Gerritsen book. I think it's for Tess Gerritsen book lovers, you should read Karen Slaughter books because I think it's very similar, and I absolutely loved it. Since it was a bit predictable, I gave it a 3.75 stars, but I think this author is really, that's the reason why we have such a good vibe. So there's a serial killer in the vicinity, and he kills really gruesomely, and all his killings are very gruesome, and he's killing specific women, and he's trying to communicate to a particular woman by killing them near her, wherever she is, whether it's a pub or whether it's a hospital. So wherever she is, the bodies are placed near her. So he is trying to communicate with this lady, and it is amazing. I highly recommend this book, but only if you like gruesome thrillers. The next book I read has the most controversial title of the year, How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. Now this book, I gave it a 4-star. It is hilarious. It is very funny. It gave me the vibe of Finlay Donovan crossing over with My Sister the Serial Killer, and it is such a funny book. It shows the journey of a woman who thinks that, certain family members have done wrong to her and her mother, and she is taking revenge on them, and she has decided to kill each and every one of them. And that is how the story unfolds, and my god, it is so hilarious, and it is so fast-paced. It's so funny. I think you're gonna love this. So if you have read My Sister the Serial Killer and Finlay Donovan, I think this is going to be a read which is very similar to these two books. So I hope you like it. The next book which I read is again a LJ novel. I am just obsessed with Lisa Jewell novels, and I think this is so far my favorite Lisa Jewell novel. So this book is called Then She Was Gone, and this book deals with a girl who is a teenager. She is very good in her studies, doing everything perfectly. One day she goes out of her house for a tuition or to meet a friend, and then she never comes back. And then she never ever comes back. So what happened to her? And this story mainly revolves around the mother who is trying to figure out what has happened to her daughter, and she is struggling with her own life and her own issues because she has other children, and they are not as close to her because she is so stuck with the daughter who has disappeared. She has a broken marriage because of that, and her whole life crumbles around this incident. And slowly, steadily, as she tries to build her life, I think again the whole tragedy comes circling back to her. So whatever happened in this book was so emotionally distraughting, I was really upset while reading this book. I was so sad. I felt for the mother so much, and this book really touched a chord in my heart, and it's a definite 5-star read for me if you want to read some emotional thriller. Like most thrillers are so fast-paced, you don't find emotions in there, but this book is so filled with emotions. I really cried while reading this book. So this is a definite top 3 book of in the top 3 books of Lisa Jewell, and I absolutely loved it. So please, I highly recommend Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. The next book which I read was Redemption Brace the Tide. So this is again an indie author, Avril N. Sun's book, and I highly recommend this book if you are into complicated fantasy world, like high level fantasy world. This book deals with witches and demons and elemental magic and everything. So it has got healers, it has got water magic, fire magic, wind magic. So it's a little complicated. The book starts a bit slow, but once it starts its pace, I think it is absolutely fabulous. The writing style is tremendously good, and it is very fast paced after the first few chapters, because I think the first part of the book took a little bit of time to start the story. But if it didn't, then you wouldn't understand the world. So I guess it's fine. So this book is definitely a 4-star read for me, and I highly suggest, guys, if you are into fantasy books, do check this out. The next book that I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and this book really lived up to the hype. I heard so much about this book for such a long time, and I decided to pick it up like a fast-paced read, and I got it was. So in the beginning, I was like, okay, this is a normal story with a married couple who are not happy with each other, and they have secrets of their own, and then suddenly when I see the twist and when the characters change, and I'm like, oh god, my mind is blown because I didn't see it coming. Oh my god. So here is a there's this couple who goes to a Scottish chapel for vacation, and they are trying to redeem their marriage. This is their last trial to redeem their marriage. Their psychologist has said that you should go for a vacation and try to redeem your marriage, and that's what they're doing. But they suddenly get stuck by the snowstorm, and they're completely alone in that chapel, and weird things starts happening. And this book is really good. It gives you chills, and I mean, it's perfect for winter read. And it is a very fast-paced thriller with mind-boggling twists in the end. So definitely read this book, Rock, Paper, Scissors. Right. So last book I read in 24 was Caraval, and thank God I did read, because I have heard again a lot of hype about this book, and I think I would have really enjoyed this book more if I was a teenager. This is a perfect young adult book, and the writing style is so eloquent and beautiful. I gave it a 5-star. I think I'm going to also read Legendary, which is the next part of this book, and this book deals with a magical tournament that happens in a magical island, and there are two sisters, Scarlet and Donatella. They take part in this whole tournament. They run away from their father, and they take part in this tournament, and something happens there, and Donatella is kidnapped by the master of the Caraval game, who is Legend, and Scarlet needs to find her sister so that she can save her life. And I think this book was so magical, so beautiful. It is perfect for a December read. I always feel like December should be a fantasy read, so I read this book in December and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, it's a 5-star read for me. So those were the books that I read in November and December. I'm sorry I'm posting this out so late, and a belated New Year and a very belated Merry Christmas. I hope you guys enjoy my video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Love you guys. Bye.